Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. I hope you had a beautiful week. It was certainly pretty beautiful here where I live, so that was really fun to experience this summer-like weather still in September, excuse me. I know, though, like I can, as a science teacher, I know it actually still is summer, but it had been feeling so much like fall. So it's nice to see summer coming back. And we're supposed to have the temperatures in the 80s this weekend. So I hope the weather is nice where you are as well. And I hope you're ready to see a new Fun Fold and some great ideas using the Wildflower Design stamp set. This stamp set is a cling stamp set. It is found in the main catalog, and it has some beautiful sentiments, sending happy thoughts, you've been on my mind, and thank you. And then some great floral images, some of the different wild flowers. It is a bundle. It comes with the set of Wildflower Design dies. And let me just put one of these back in. I was using it earlier today. So it has these great frame dies, and then it has dies that cut out the wildflower images. So it's a great set to have. And of course, probably I've been using this everywhere. So this is the Simply Said stamp set, and it is just sentiments, but it has such a great variety of sentiments that I really just love it, and I use it all the time. So I'm going to be using the hello in this one, as well as two of the sentiments in this one, and two of the wildflowers. So let's get that out of the way, and let's look what we need for materials to make this card tonight. So this is the card we're going to make. It is called a triple front flap card fun fold. It's a mouthful. So we have flap number 1 here, flap number 2 here, and then we lift this up and we get the third flap. So that gives you an idea of what the fun fold looks like. So let's talk about what we need for supplies. So starting with the crumb cake cardstock, we're going to need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 11. We will be scoring this piece. We also need 2 other pieces. One that measures 3 3/4 by 3 1/2. We're going to be scoring this as well. And this piece here measures 3 1/4 by 3, and we'll be scoring this piece as well. So those are the pieces that will make up the card. For the inside of the card, we're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then we're going to need a piece of designer series paper. And this piece is going to measure 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/8 inch, and it's going to be going right at the bottom of this. We're going to need 2 other pieces of designer series paper. One is going to measure, let's see, which one am I looking at? Let me just measure these because I just changed the measurements. So this one measures 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and you need 2 of those. I'm using 2 different designs. And then this piece here measures 3 1/4 by 2 3/4, and you'll need one this size. Then you'll need a larger piece of the designer series paper, and that's this one here, and it measures 4 by 5 1/4. So that's it for the designer series paper. Then you're going to need a piece of early Espresso cardstock that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And you can see that there's a hole in this one from where this die was cut out. We're going to be covering this piece up, and we're going to be placing it on the front of the card. So no one is going to see this piece in the back of it. So don't forget, this is my little helpful hint for tonight. When you need to die cut from a piece of cardstock that a color that you're using in the card, see if you can just die cut from the layer so you're not wasting that cardstock. So we need that. And we need so that we can cut out this frame. Then we're going to need a scrap of early Espresso, and This is just a 1/2 inch. We're going to need one that measures a little longer than this, but I'm just going to cut it off when we get there. We're going to need a piece of basic white that measures 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. We're going to need a piece of basic white that we can use to cut the frame out. And then we're going to need a piece of basic white that measures 1 1/8 by 2 5/8. And that is all we need tonight. Okay, so let's do our stamping first and get that out of the way. So I'm going to start by stamping the tag here, and I'm going to use the smaller wildflower, and I'm going to be using the Night of Navy, excuse me, I don't know why I'm saying Night of Navy tonight, the Early Espresso ink. It was a hectic day at school today, though I'm really happy we have a wonderful class. So, but they are busy little 5th graders. So I'm going to start by just stamping this on full strength. And then I am going to do some 2nd generation stamping. So there's the full strength, 2nd generation, 3rd generation. So we get some little colors there. And then I'm going to take the hello, and I am going to be stamping that right here at the top of where the wildflower is. So there's our tag for the front. We're going to be cutting this off, so you'll see what I mean by that in just a minute. But this is all set, so I'm going to set that aside. Then as we look in, on this piece of paper, we're going to be stamping in Moody Mauve, the larger flower. So let me just move that out of the way. And the way I'm going to be stamping that is I'm going to start in the middle of the piece of paper as well. And I'm going to ink that up. And I want this flower to stand tall. So I do want the stem to come down pretty close to the end. So I'm going to watch where I'm going to stamp that, bring it down, and there we have. Pretty, pretty. And then I'm going to use full strength, though I think I'm going to put a little bit under here so I don't get a lot of ink that I have to clean up before we finish our card. And I am going to stamp a 2nd one here, and then I'm going to stamp a 2nd one here. So there we have this stamped image. So I'm going to put that aside. Then we're going to be stamping You've Been on My Mind. And that's going to go in Early Espresso ink. So I'm going to close up that one. And I'm going to take that stamp. And I am going to first stamp it on my scrap paper to make sure my sentiment is straight. What I do, because I don't always get the sentiment words on it perfectly, I always make sure I line up how the words look on the back of the stamp, and that way I'm just looking at the stamp, not necessarily the words, to make sure it's lined up perfectly. So that one's all set, and then the last thing we have to do is stamp the sentiment inside the card. So for that, I'm going to still use Early Espresso, and it says Sending Happy Thoughts. So I'm going to stamp it up once, and again, stamp on the back. Make sure it's straight, and it is. Make sure I get all my ink on it. And this is going to go towards the upper third of the card. There we go. So now everything is all set and stamped. This fun fold tonight is going to be a little bit faster than some of my fun folds, but wait until a week or two from tonight. You are going to see the fun folds of all fun folds, and it is a doozy. But if you follow along with the video when you're making it, you won't have any problems at all. So this one is just going to be scored at 5.5. So I'm just going to use my paper cutter, and I'm just going to score that along a couple times to measure at 5.5. These two pieces I'm going to look at the wider inch, so wider side. So this is 3 1/4 inches. I am going to score this at 1/4 inch. So I don't know if you can see that score mark. Maybe bring it out a little bit. No, it looks a little too dark. But it's not very far out. And then the same thing is going to happen here. This is 3 3/4 side, and I'm going to score this at 1/4 inch. And our scoring is all done. So with the stamping done, the scoring done, all we have to do is put this card together. So I'm going to use my bone folder to give that a nice crease. And on this front, so if you remember, the front has these 2 flaps that are going to be on it. So we are going to want to attach those flaps to we can attach it to the designer series paper, or we can attach it to the front of the Early Espresso. I'm going to attach it to my designer series paper. So that is right here. It's going to go on the front like this. So what I'm going to do is fold that little lip over. Now I could have cut this bigger and had a bigger score area, but I just didn't feel I needed it. So that's why I did it this way. So what I'm going to do is actually put this on. It's going to go just a little bit down, and I'm going to attach it right there. So I'm actually, to help me out, I'm just going to put some adhesive right in that area. So my adhesive is right over here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive here, maybe a little higher up. Oh, I need to go down a little bit more too. There we go. And I am going to attach that right there and just make sure I can fold over. So that's important. So it looks nicely. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, except this one's going towards the bottom. So I'll get that scored really nicely. I'm going to open this up, and this one is going to go right about here. So again, it's not meeting the bottom, but they will cross over. So I am going to take this side of my designer series paper and give it some adhesive. And then I am going to place it right here. And then make sure that this is going to fold over nicely. Okay, that is good to go. So now what we can do is add more adhesive, so we can add this to our piece of Early Espresso cardstock. So this is only 1/8 of an inch wider, so it's not going to have a huge border, but I do want to make sure my border happens. And I put some in that open area. It'll be fine in just a minute. And then this is going to go on the front of our card. So it's going to look like that. Make sure I'm on the right side. I hate it when I glue something on upside down. And there we go. Okay, that is how easy that was. So now the inside of the card, let's take care of that. We're going to add this piece right to the bottom of our piece of basic white cardstock. And I'm going to use, I don't know which one I used on, yep, that's the same one I used. I didn't know which side, I couldn't remember which side I used. So I'm going to put this right down, leave a little bit, leave about 1/8 of an inch or so of it white on the bottom, And then I'm going to put the whole piece on the inside of the card. And there we go for the inside. Now let's take care of the front and the inside flaps. So I have this piece that's going to go on the inside. I love this because it has, first of all, tons of flaps. And so I can, oh, I wanted that bigger and I cut it. Yep, I made a mistake there. I had it the right size and I kind of panicked because I put it on the wrong side. So let me just get the other piece that I had, and that is going to fit nicely on the inside. Get rid of that, and we will take care of our stamping again. Like I said, I was rushing to get everything done, and I was like, no, that cardstock piece is way too big. But it wasn't. So we're going to stamp it the same way. Up a little higher on that, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come down a little lower. There we go. I always love having extra paper. I feel that makes me really prepared. So this piece is going to go right in here. Then I am going to take this piece and decorate this side. So what I was about to say is what I love about this fun fold and some other fun folds as well. You get to have so many different ways, so many extra panels to decorate and design how you'd like. So we've got this really done nicely on the inside. Now we can go to the outside, and I bet I messed this up too. Yes, I did. I got to grab another piece of that. I don't know what I was thinking when I made this. I guess I had a bigger piece. So let me just grab some of that paper out of my stash. I have a big stash of designer series paper, and then of course I have a big stash on my desk too. So let me just find the package really quickly. Sorry about this delay. Or I think when I made this card the first time, I made those pieces just a little smaller so that and then I decided to make it bigger. I think that's where my problem came from. Oh, I've been crafting too much and have too much paper in my space. Does that ever happen to you that you just, oh, here it is. It's right on the top. I just have to open a new package. So if you haven't seen this designer series paper, this is a great opportunity for me to show it to you because it is a beautiful package of designer series paper. So let me just take this moment and I can show you what the pieces look like, and then I will cut my paper back to the size it was before I started the video, before I panicked that I was in the wrong. So we have this beautiful moonlight, misty moonlight with the white. We've got some, right on the back is just patterned crumb cake. Then we have some boho blue with the large flowers, and on the back is some misty moonlight colored with flowers. Then we have some wild wheat with the flowers, and then that's where we got the Moody Mauve for the card. Then this is our Moody Mauve, and on the back is the Wild Wheat. And then here we have Crumb Cake with the large flowers that we're using on the front of the card. And then we have our Misty Moonlight on the back. And then finally we have this beautiful piece of Moody Mauve with the Espresso on it. And on the back is that other pattern that we're using tonight. So let me just grab that piece out, and we will cut our piece that should measure 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So being that I love designer series paper so much, I always have a lot of designer series paper around. Sometimes probably too much designer series paper around. Don't know if any of you have that problem either. But boy, I just love Stampin' Up's pattern paper. I don't think any company makes it any better than these guys do. So hats off to the artist team at Stampin' Up. Okay, there we go. I am going to put this piece, oh, before I put this piece on, I am going to actually put my tag, because I'm going to have to cut some of this off. So I'm going to just kind of figure out where I need this to be. I want this to go all the way to the edge, so I'm going to put this on first, and then we'll add our tag in. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to do that. So I'm just going to go down and add some dots right along the scalloped edge of this border image. So I had to cut this out of, so I got 2 pieces. I got the inside piece and the outside piece with the early espresso, and then I got the inside piece and outside piece with the basic white. So you get 2 things when you stamp out the one. All right, so I'm going to place this on so it's centered, and then move it in place. Got a little glue there, that's okay. So now I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to cut this piece off first so I don't have too much to cut off at once. Make sure it's stuck down. There we go. And now I will add the piece that sets right into that frame so nicely. And I'll just add some of the Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to just trim that off as well. So now we have our beautifully framed piece that's going to go on the front of our card. So I'll add some more of the Stampin' Seal to the back. And I'll bring this right into the front. There we go. So those 2 pieces are done. Now we need to do this piece here. That's our last one. And that is going to be this one right here. And I think I want it to go like that. So I'm going to add a little bit of the Stampin' Seal and then put this right on the front. Oops, there we go. Okay, so all we need to do now is add the bling. Yeah, you can see that I cut this one to match this better than I did over here. So I'm just going to grab out of my bling bucket some of the butterflies. I just keep in a tray like this all of my embellishments so that I have them when I need them. And of course, I've probably taken my butterflies out. Well, I'm not seeing them really fast, so what I'm going to do is take out my dragonflies instead. What I really wanted with this card was a really flat embellishment because I want to put the embellishment on the outside and the inside. So let's see if I have one of these open. Nope, these are all new, so we'll just open one up. All right, so this is a great, these are called the Adhesive Back Dragonfly and Birds. So you've got dragonflies at the bottom, the birds at the top. The birds go in different directions. The dragonflies you can use in any direction. So we'll get this open. And I'll use my Take a Pick tool. And like I said, I think I'm going to use the dragonflies on this one. And I'm going to start by having one dragonfly flying up towards the hello, another one over here, and then I think I'll have one coming down towards the wildflowers in, whoops, in that direction. So there we go for the front. I'll show you that in a minute. And then on the inside, I'm going to put some dragonflies as, oh, I haven't added my greeting yet. That is something I need to do. I can always tell when I've had one of those days at school. It was just hectic, and I had an appointment right after school that I had to leave. I had no time to spare. Okay, that's all set. Now let's put our greeting. So what I am going to do, you've seen me do this with other cards. I really like adding a little bit of colored cardstock inside my piece. So this is going to be, let's give it a little bit of an edge. And I'll give this a little bit of an edge. And then we're going to just add it to the inside of our card. And then we will add a dragonfly to it. So I'm going to put this right in the center. Just like that. And then I'll take one of the dragonflies and have it right here. So this is our final card for this week's Fun Fold Friday. Again, it is a triple front flap fun fold. So if I hold it a little bit up here so you can see the whole thing, we have the hello with the wildflowers. You open here, you've got some more wildflowers. You open here, you have a greeting, and then we'll open up the card and you have another greeting on the inside, another sentiment with the designer series paper at the bottom. So that's it for this week's Fun Fold Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this card as much as I did making it. And I hope you're able to tune in Sunday night for another fabulous week of the Regal Floral stamp set and what I have planned for you. It is week 3 of that. We have a total of 5 Sundays in September, so we'll get an extra week in with that stamp set. And again, tonight we used the wildflower designs. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Make sure you say hello, tell me where you're watching from. Follow my page, my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate everything you do to help support my small business. So have a fabulous weekend and a fabulous week ahead. I'll be back next Friday night for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. Good night, everybody.